Hello, my name's Ian Mercer, and I'm here on this somewhat grey day in November, a day that marks the beginning of a journey. Michael Palin went round the world in 80 days. Ian Botham and his elephants followed Hannibal's tracks across the Alps. So where does that leave me? In Nottingham, to be exact, at the beginning of an expedition into the big world of small business. And as is a tradition, I'll be followed everywhere by my trusty camera crew. Well, hopefully not everywhere. While we try and find out what makes this nation of entrepreneurs tick. So what's Nottingham famous for? Well, despite this fella's liking for green tights, fashion. Yes, that's right, fashion. London, New York, Paris and Nottingham. You don't believe me? You take a look at this. This is the Nottingham Fashion Centre, and I'm going to find out what goes on here. Who better to speak to than the guy who runs it, Brian Stanley. Whilst I track him down, why don't you have a quick look around? Right, here we go. The Nottingham Fashion Centre was set up in 1984. It says here, to help small businesses get up and running. It provides facilities that allow fledgling companies to develop without the added expense of going it alone. The 20 or so businesses based here share meeting facilities, library and equipment. The result is an environment which allows like-minded companies to inspire and motivate one another. And out of the 60 or so companies that have been based here at one time or another, only 2 have failed, which is pretty good if you ask me. Well, I said it'd be quick, and as luck would have it, Brian can spare us a few moments. But first, he's going to speak to these 2 guys. This is John and Carl Bartlett. And they're hoping to set up a new business here in the centre. But first they have to pass the Brian Stanley test and present their business plan. Now, John, could you give me a brief idea about what your business is going to be about?
Yes, certainly. The company objectives is basically design and manufacture a range of clothes specifically designed for the disability community, with a range of, well, spring collection going out next year.
It's not just functional, they'll be stylish as well.
Oh yes, I mean we're aiming specifically in the first few catalogues to actually target the young, because it seems to be the young have suffered a great deal with the disability, especially that you get spinal injury people who've were wearing normal clothes previous, and then all of a sudden they've been thrown into a wheelchair. So we're trying to target them to actually give them the clothes they used to have before.
Where did the motivation come from? Where did you get the idea for this?
The motivation comes from sort of a sense to create something, do something by ourselves, be our own boss, prove people wrong that have turned around and said that we wouldn't be able to do it. The idea came from back home when...
Well, we met, well, a friend of ours is a district nurse, and one of her patients received a spinal injury, and ever since he's had the injury, he's not been able to wear jeans. And she knew of, well, her daughter knew of our intention to set up a company in fashion, and she approached us to see if we could produce a pair of jeans for him.
Because she couldn't get them elsewhere. There was nowhere doing it at that time. There was nobody doing it.
No one at all, and basically he couldn't wear jeans, and he used to wear jeans, and he loves wearing jeans like most teenagers and young adults. So.
Is this the famous business plan that we've been hearing a lot about?
It is.
It is.
Did it take you a long time to put it together?
A very long time to put it together. Actually, write it up not too long, but to get something
which all the information together.
Right.
And to win people over, like banks. I mean, we've approached Prince's Youth Business Trust, and they have to have everything has to work within it. You might have fantastic ideas and designs, but if it doesn't work on paper, no one's interested. So a lot of effort went into it. But once we got all the information together, we could write it up, and then here we are.
Waiting to see Brian.
Do you fulfil the same role within the business?
Not at all. I mean, you concentrate on the fashion side, and me personally, I'm more involved in like the marketing.
So yours is the business end of it, and yours is the design.
Mine's the fashion, sort of makeup, make sure the garments are correct, pattern cutting, sourcing, manufacture, just making sure that sort of start to finish they're sort of good garments that people want to wear and fit.
I mean, if we didn't do that, I mean, the company would either fail because we hadn't got a product, or it fell because it wasn't running properly. So we see that the combination of our 2 skills will hopefully be the survival of the company.
Prop each other up.
A perfect marriage of both of your skills.
Yeah.
The big question, are you nervous?
Yes. Just a little. we've been nervous all the way along the line. Nervous whether we get it up and going, nervous whether I keep on going, nervous whether we get studio space.
But as such, this is quite a big step.
Yeah.
If you come back through that door with a smile on your face, it means you're up and running in this centre.
Within here, and it's so important to be here because the environment's so good for fashion industries setting up. There's all the services they offer and the opportunity to talk to other people in the same boat, setting up young businesses.
Bit of networking between everybody.
All right. I better let you get on because you have got a meeting.
Thank you, once
All
again.
the best.
Okay,
Goodbye.
bye-bye.
Actually, what goes on behind that door is strictly confidential, so I'll catch up with Brian later on and in a general sense, find out how they got on. Well, Brian, I'm taking it for granted that you've been here for a long time.
Yes.
Have you seen many presentations?
Yes, we've seen many presentations and they vary from the kind of product. This presentation, especially Anti-Adam Designs,
Is that from John and Carl?
that's from John and Carl, and they're concentrating in specialists in the disability clothing area. Now that is very much a niche market, and we're delighted to see that they've come forward with something which we consider to be very special. They presented this business plan, and it's an excellent business plan. What they've done, they've considered their marketing, they've considered their cash flow.
Can I just stop you? Sorry to interrupt you. What exactly is a business plan?
Right, well the business plan is a document to which is going to determine how their business will succeed over the next year, maybe
Right.
5 years. And this will be presented to the banks, to any organisation to who they would wish to have assistance from. But at the end of the day, this document is to help them with their business.
Yes.
And the idea is they will have looked at the marketing, they will have looked at the overall concept of their business, they will have looked at what they call SWOT analysis, which is their strengths,
Yes.
weaknesses, opportunities and threats. And by doing that, they will have identified areas where they're very strong
Right.
and areas where they find weakness. And by having those weaknesses, we can certainly step in and help and
So
find
you'll
them.
see that from their business plan.
Oh
You'll see
yes,
what-
and by talking to them, because
Yes.
we have this opportunity to have a good rapport, a good opportunity to identify through conversation how they feel the business is going to go, through their enthusiasm, through their own motivation.
Yeah.
But from their point of view, they should look at this every month to see, one, if they're on target with production, two, if they're on target with sales, because at the end of the day, they've got to make sure that they are succeeding according to their plan.
So it's not for anybody else, it's just for the business.
It is. It's like a critical path analysis. It
Right.
helps them to guide themselves through the business. Many people in different types of industries see the business plan as like a straight line forecast. In other words, every month is the same. Well, in clothing and textiles, you have what we call peaks and troughs.
Yes.
And they've got to identify those seasonal changes, what they're going to do about it, how they're going to address that situation. So it is analysing, and that business plan is their Bible.
Yeah. What is the most common misconception about business?
That it's easy.
What's that? It's easy.
It's easy, and they think that they don't address the situation of how much finance they need. They don't look at the whole concept. They look at certain portions. What we try and do is enable them to look at it as a whole.
Right.
And
To
by
increase
doing
their
that-
vision.
Of course,
Right.
very much so.
Brian, thank you very much indeed. But before you go, I've got to ask you, do you know when or if you're going to be able to offer John and Carl a place here in the centre?
Well, it so happens that next month we have a unit coming available. I think it's ideal for them, and we are going to make an offer to them, and we sincerely hope they take that offer because we would like to continue working with them from now on in.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. John and
Thank you.
Carl, well done.
Thank you.
What I'm finding is setting up a business and keeping it running is hard work. Vicky Meadows set up Original Sample a few years back and she is still hard at work, designing and manufacturing knitwear destined for the high street. In fact, she's doing so well that she employs 3 people full-time and in the next few weeks she's hoping to move to bigger premises. But as far as today is concerned, she is busy, 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 getting together next season's collection and get it out the door before the end of the week. But I've managed to charm a few moments of her time so we can have a quick chat. But it does have to be quick, so come on.
Well, the rates are all included here. Yes. And,
Hello,
this
Vicky.
is about the 60th phone call I've had off you regarding this. So can you just make a note? Okay, bye. Rates.
here I am with Vicky, and as you can see, I've been roped in, or yarned in, as it were. Vicky, when you first started out, would you say to most people you had a steady job?
Well, I was unemployed for a year, but before that I did have a steady job working as a designer in the industry. I mean, I was actually going to get another job, and then I thought, well, I went down to London and did a market store with a friend in Camden Market, and it went very well. Everything that I knitted I was selling. So I thought, well, I might as well start up on my own and have a bit more freedom.
So the market store was a really good idea. It really set you off.
Yeah.
It gave you all the ideas and gave you a good idea about what to put in your business plan.
Yeah.
And in your original business plan, did you think of just selling in the Great Britain, or did you think of Europe as well?
No, the plan was to sell it to Europe as well, and maybe to America. Yeah.
How did you finance yourself to begin with?
Well, I went to PYBT, which is the Princess Youth Business Trust, and they helped me do a business plan, and I put in an application for a loan and a grant. So I did that, and I got a £1,000 grant and a £2,000 loan.
In your original plan, again, did you think that you would at some stage have employees?
Well, I thought I was going to be having sort of outworkers, but it proved to be not really a very good idea because it was time consuming going around to people's houses and stuff.
Yeah.
So I decided it would be better to just get somebody in.
Yeah, so it was a natural process really for you. You said that you started to export to America as well as Europe. Did that incur any extra cost and any extra risk?
Well, in the freight terms, it costs a lot of money to send freight, but I always did it charges forward and let the companies organise their own freight.
So they get the responsibility of it?
Yeah, but I always made sure that I was insured, actually, because sometimes the shippers don't insure unless you ask them.
Is there a network of advice set up that you can tap into?
Yeah, there is. I mean, you can phone DTI, Department of Trade and Industry. They'll help you if you've got any queries. And then also, I always had a business advisor that I could phone up through PYBT.
Right.
So I just tried to do what I could and not do things that I really didn't understand.
Oh, that's brilliant. So there are people out there to help if you look for them and ask?
Yes, yeah,
good.
definitely.
If you were to start all over again, is there anything you'd do differently?
I don't think so. I think I'd probably try and have a bit more time off and not try and do too many orders. It's very difficult to say no when you're in business. When you're first in business, people phone you, can have this, can have that.
And you want to be successful, so you want to meet them orders.
You want to say yes, and sometimes you say yes when you can't meet the order. One season I took on too many orders, and I had to cancel a few. But the best thing really is just to be honest and to phone up and say, look, I'm really sorry, but I'm finding it difficult to make this order.
Rather lose the order in the initial and keep a customer than lose both.
But it's also very difficult. It's also a good idea to take more orders because some people will cancel. So not all your orders are going to be orders.
Well, there's some really sound advice there for people who want to set up a business.
Thank you.
Vicky, I wish you all the best. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And thank you for the work.
Thank you for winding me on.
You're very welcome.
Thanks. In actual fact, I'll ask the manager here if I can store it in the cellar. So I think I'll be able to buy it. So shall I? Let me just take your name again. Right. Okay. I'll sort that out for you. I'm really sorry it's been so long. And I'll have a word with the manager and have it stored in the cellar for a while until I move. Thanks very much. Okay, thanks. Bye. It's a cutting table that I should have bought a while ago, but I haven't moved premises yet, so I've got nowhere to put it. It's a bargain, so I think I'll have to buy it and store it somewhere.
Phew, I don't know about you, but after all that, I'm exhausted. Vicky Meadows was busier than even we thought she'd be. She had 3 things to get out by the end of the week. 1 to America, 1 to Italy, and her own collection. Vicky and the Bartlett seem to be getting it right. They know what they want, and they know how to get it. Planning seems to be the common denominator. No, it's more than that. Planning is essential. Well, I've got my timetable in hand, and I'm off to the next destination, which is... I'm not going to tell you. I'll give you a musical clue. You got more chance of winning the pools. Oh, and if you'd like to see what a good salesperson Vicky really is, take a look at this. Bye for now. Well, so much for all that stuff about planning. This timetable is out of date. We missed the 6 o'clock from Nottingham, and the 8 o'clock had no buffet and stopped at every town in the country. But we mustn't grumble, because we are, after all, professionals, and we have the all-important thing, motivation. And if what I am told is true, that's something that they have bucketfuls of here in the heart of Glasgow. Beautiful, isn't it? This is Prince's Square. Service, quality and style from around the world. That's what it says here. Sounds good, eh? I'm here to see a bloke called Alan Knox, who set up one of the shops down there. My researcher tells me he's got a good story to tell. So you take the high road and I'll take the low road, and I'll see you in a bit. Alan Knox and his wife Anne set up Linens Fine back in 1989. Alan had spent years as a buying controller for a large Scottish retail chain. Dealing primarily in retail textiles, Alan's experience was a major asset in setting up Linens Fine. But, as he soon discovered, the location of a business is as important as the product itself. So, what comes first? The idea, the location, or the business plan?
Well, it started off really with an idea, to be honest, rather, and built up to the business plan. We thought about all the merchandise that had been involved in, and decided that linens was household linens was an area that wasn't really being covered, and that we could do a good job.
How did you present it to your bank manager?
Well, put together. Really, what I did was pull together photographs and pictures that would visually illustrate what we wanted in the shop, and they presented it in a beautifully bound folder to him, and with some beautiful lettering. It really gave a picture of the image we were trying to project, sort of romantic Victorian image.
And did the bank manager go for the idea?
He loved it from day one. We're very lucky. He liked it right away. He thought it was a winner. And sent us out to find the premises and come back to him with a well thought out business plan, and that's where it really started to get a bit more difficult. Pulling all the figures together really was the hard part. Areas that I hadn't been involved in before, I had suddenly to get involved in. But we finally got there, presented it to him, and I think convinced him that it was going to work.
Do you monitor the business? And if you do, how do you monitor it?
Oh, we do. I mean, in the first year, really, we were monitoring it against the plan that we presented to the bank. We didn't really want to come up with any major surprises for our sake and for his, you see. But in year 2, it began to get easier because we had the previous year's figures on a daily basis, so we could monitor against our previous year's figures. And we could also plan to where we could improve on them, where we would have promotions where we didn't have the year before, perhaps, or we could do a better promotion.
Was it enough to go back a year, or do you sometimes need to go back further if you can?
Occasionally, yes. I would say more in retailing. It's in our type of business, it's looking back at the most successful promotions. It could be that something hadn't worked the previous year, but it had worked the year before. So you go back to that one and say, what did we do right, and how can we improve?
It's very valuable, I can see.
Yeah.
Has everything gone according to plan? Has there been any pitfalls or failures within the time?
Well, yeah, we had one major hiccup, really. We opened another shop in a suburban centre in East Kilbride. I mean, our original plan was to open 2 shops, a linen shop and a cook shop. But the landlord there reckoned there was another linen shop, nothing like the merchandise that we were doing, but enough to make him say that he wouldn't have it. At that stage, we should have stepped back.
Yeah.
But we said, okay, we'll go ahead with the cook shop. And I don't think we had done as much research for that shop as we had opening our original shop. And the good thing was that we negotiated a 2-year get-out clause.
Ah, so it's all there
So
in
that
the
helped
planning,
us.
yeah.
When we saw the thing start to stutter, at least we knew 2 years we can walk away from it without being hurt too badly, and fortunately that's how it's been.
So you got it right here, you didn't get it quite right there.
Didn't get it quite right there, but I think we learned a lot from it. We
Yeah.
won't make the same mistakes again.
Well, it really is a beautiful shop.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Al.
Thank you.
So there you have it. 3 businesses that are planning for the future. They all showed a frightening amount of organisation and common sense. Being in business is not about making a fast buck, nice though it would be. It's about setting up a business that sustains itself and you. And having a good idea isn't enough. You've got to be able to know where you're going and how to get there and prove it too. And for me, that's to the train station and a decent hot meal, please. Thank you.
Everyone has ideas of one sort or another, but it takes a special kind of person to transform a good idea into a reality. An entrepreneur is someone who does just that, someone who identifies a gap in the market for a new idea. To get your idea off the ground, you have to test it against reality and see how or if it really can fly. This is the crux of a business plan. A business plan, as its name suggests, is a framework for how the business is going to run. It's a living document and should always remain flexible. It also provides a benchmark for you to measure success or failure, progress or regress. Although it will be shown to bank managers and so on, it really is just a plan for the business itself. Integral to a business plan is the SWOT analysis: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats. In the case of Anthony Adam Design, think of teamwork. One business head, one creative head. Now this is a strength. Strengths are the skills and talents you can bring to the business, and the way you manage to combine these successfully and use them to your advantage. Weaknesses, these are the gaps that the business plan should enable you to plug. Areas where you may need outside help. Think of Vicky. It didn't take her long to recognise that she needed to take on employees. Opportunities, gaps in an existing market or a niche market which you feel you can capitalise on. All 3 businesses are good examples of this. Threats, the unexpected cash flow and finance, even the economy. Outside suppliers that you have to rely on, they could let you down. All of these enable you to identify peaks and troughs in the business. In other words, it's a case of taking a good look before you take that business leap.